Back in Lincoln, and Husker Nation greets Bo Pelini and his Nebraska Cornhuskers. Ranked 5th in the country, their highest ranking since 2001. They've won 6 in a row dating back to last year, and 11 of their last 12. The only blemish during that time, the loss to Texas in the Big 12 title game. 75-degree day, just delightful, and we're delighted to have you with us from Lincoln. The kickoff in a moment. It's time for today's rivalry recap, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Texas has the all-time edge in play. They've won 5 in a row head-to-head, including the last 4 here in Lincoln. Nebraska hasn't defeated Texas since the 1999 Big 12 championship game, but the games have been close. The last 9 have been decided on average by less than a touchdown. Here's Quint Kessenich down on the field.
Guys, the overwhelming theme in Lincoln, revenge and redemption. This is a t-shirt that's been on sale at the school bookstore. The Nebraska players actually adopted a similar slogan, 1 second and the word finish, for their off-season workouts. But Bo Pelini, their head coach, won't talk about revenge. He said he's more concerned about Texas screens and draws. Either way, emotions run high here today. You can read it on their faces. You can read it on the t-shirts.
Many of the games have been excruciating in this rivalry. Each of the last 3, including the Big 12 championship game, decided by 3 points or fewer. 7 of the 13 all-time meetings decided by 4 points or less. Well, that's been Mack Brown's history. His Longhorns win the vast majority of the close games during his time. Texas won the toss and deferred, so Justin Tucker kicked off with a gusty wind behind his back. And Brandon Kinney took a knee in the middle of the end zone. Taylor Martinez, one of the stories of this college football season. Redshirt freshman from Southern California, leading the country in rushing touchdowns, yards per rush. He's had more carries of 20 yards or more than anybody in the country, 12 of them. He's 4th in the nation at 147.4 yards per game on the ground.
Sean, for Taylor Martinez, for them to be effective, he's got to be patient. When he tries to do everything, they stumbled a little bit against South Dakota. He needs to just let the offense take care of itself and let him do his part.
This is the best defense Nebraska will have faced this year. Roy Halou got the first carry of the ball game and got 3 yards. He was tackled by Sam Acho, the outstanding senior defensive end for the Longhorn defense. Terrific matchup today. Nebraska led by Martinez, number 2 in the country in rushing offense, better than 337 yards per game on the ground as a team, trailing only Air Force, and Texas 19th in the country in rush defense. Last year they led the nation in rush defense. Martinez in trouble and just did get rid of it before he's going to be sacked, and they might throw a flag for grounding. The referee has his hand in his pocket, and now they might rule him down as well. Here comes the flag instead, and it's going to be a grounding call as Alex Okafor just about had Martinez on the ground when he flipped it away to his right.
Intentional grounding. Number 3 of the offense. Laps him down at the spot of the foul. 3rd down.
That's a good job by Greg Birch, the referee there. He made sure that he saw what he saw and checked with the other official. And you can see right here, this is what he sees. There's a control, there's grasp, he stopped. And so they were going to mark him down. And
he was down.
And then when he threw the ball, he turned it to the umpire. And that's when they threw the flag.
Yeah, it looked like his knee was down with the ball still in his hand. The ball's marked at the 15, 3rd down and long. And it isn't necessarily a passing down for Nebraska. And Martinez nearly got the first down. Made it almost to the 29-yard line. Emmanuel Acho, the brother of Sam. Emmanuel's an outside linebacker, made the stop 1 yard short of the first down yardage. So a 3 and out. And here's Alex Henry, doubles as their place kicker, averaging 44.4 per punt, 19th best in the nation for the senior from Omaha. And Curtis Brown is back deep for the punt. He muffed the punt, retrieved it back at the 20, and now gets some blocks across the 45-yard line and walloped out of bounds far side near midfield. P.J. Smith knocked him out. So great field position for Garrett Gilbert, the quarterback of this sputtering Texas offense. His numbers aren't terrible. 63% completions, passing for 230 per game, but only 4 touchdown passes. That's tied with Nebraska for the fewest in the Big 12. And welcome to Lincoln. Deafening noise on the first play from scrimmage for Texas. They fake the reverse. And Gilbert, he's a decent runner, and the coaches would like him to run more often. Goes to the 43 for a gain of 4. Pierre Allen made the tackle for Nebraska. Fozzie Whitaker will be the starting running back, but we may see 3 or 4 different ball carriers. 3 wide receivers, including the speedy Goodwin. And the offensive line has been inconsistent according to the coaches. Kyle Hicks, the senior, at left tackle, his 34th career start. Whitaker, the ball carrier. He got spun around, but he's very near a first down inside the 40 before he was driven back by Jared Crick, the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, part of a stout front 4 for the Cornhuskers, including Meredith Steinkuhler and Pierre Allen. Allen making his 31st career start. Essentially 2 linebackers. Gomes is both a safety and a linebacker. Lamonte David's their leading tackler, and arguably the best secondary in the country, led by Prince Amukamara, is going to be a very high draft pick. Gilbert on 3rd and inches, ahead for the first down, using his 6'4" frame.
You know, Sean, we said at the start that Garrett Gilbert is going to have to use his arm if this Texas offense is going to move. And the reason I said that is because they've been inconsistent in the run game. Offensive line, like you mentioned, they've not really played great. They're not an offensive line that moves people off the ball. And so Gilbert is going to have to be able to make the throws when they're there. His biggest thing is to just be patient. When he lacks patience, he misses reads.
3 wide receivers to his right in the bunch, and there's a quarterback draw for Gilbert. He's off to the races. Great move inside the 15. He was just tripped up by Alfonso Denater. That would have been a touchdown. Gilbert made it to the 10, and it's first down Texas.
One of the things that this Nebraska defense does extremely well is they run. This is the fastest defense in the NCAA. And so what you do is you use that against him. And so Gilbert, just a quarterback draw, they were in man coverage, backs are to the quarterback, he takes advantage of it.
25-yard run for Gilbert. Now he'll go under center with 3 receivers and Whitaker, the running back. James Kirkendall, the motion man. Whitaker, nothing, running to the right. Dejon Gomes with help from P.J. Smith. Nebraska and Nevada are the only 2 teams in the country that have not trailed at all this season. As a matter of fact, Nebraska's never even been tied this year after 0-0. So should Texas score here, it would be a new experience this season for Bo Pelini's Huskers. On 2nd and goal, Whitaker tripped up again at the line of scrimmage by Jared Crick.
You mentioned him, Sean, earlier. He's one of these guys. He's a big, powerful kid. He runs extremely well, but both he and Steinkuhler inside, they do a fantastic job of shielding their linebackers. They're very unselfish players, but when the play is there for them to be made, like you saw with Crick, they make it.
Texas doing it on the ground. They've scuffled all year to find a running game, and they haven't been very good in the red zone either. Only 10 touchdowns in 21 trips. Gilbert throws his first pass, incomplete. Looking for Mike Davis. Well covered by Eric Haig. And the field goal unit comes on for Mac Brown, much to his frustration.
One of the things that's going to happen with Gilbert today is the windows are going to be very small. Now that was a nice throw. Haig had coverage on him, but this Nebraska defense runs very well. They're excellent in coverage. And so all the windows that he's going to have to throw in today are going to be tight.
And he knew it. Garrett told us the other day accuracy is going to be vital today. 28-yard try for Justin Tucker, who's having a very good year. 9 out of 11. Trouble with the hold. But Cade McCrary did get it down, and the kick is good. And Nebraska trails for the first time this season. After the bobble, no problem for Tucker, the junior from Austin. Last regular season meeting as fellow members of the Big 12 for Texas and Nebraska. Two of college football's heavyweights. They've combined for 9 national championships, 71 conference titles, 95 bowl appearances. Texas second all-time in wins behind Michigan, and Nebraska fourth on that list with Notre Dame in between the Longhorns and the Huskers. Garrett Gilbert moves his team 37 yards on the Longhorns' first possession. They settle for a field goal. And now Justin Tucker started to run up on it, and the wind, which is gusting up to 16 miles per hour, blew the ball off the tee. The Horns have the wind at their backs, and it looks like more than 16 miles per hour right now. The official weather report we got from Husker Sports Information has the wind north-northeast at 8, gusting to 16 on a 75-degree day in the capital of Nebraska, and the ball came off the tee again.
You know, Sean, there's a lot of great venues across this great country of ours, and a lot of teams have whiteouts and blackouts and all those outs. But this place right here tops them all, because this red out is every week, and it's always sold out.
The Husker athletic department called for a red out all over the world, and fans have obliged. Niles Paul looking for running room as he brings back the kickoff, and it's well covered. He was tackled at the 21-yard line. 18-yard return by Paul. Brock Fitzhenry made the tackle. Here's the starting lineup on offense for Nebraska. Palou's had 3 100-yard rushing games, with Kinney, Paul, and McNeil, the wide receivers, and Ben Cotton, an excellent blocker at tight end. Keith Williams having a great year at left guard. The offensive line, Caputo, a former walk-on, and Ricky Henry, a brawler at right guard. Martinez handed it off to Roy Halou, and the ball comes out, and Texas has it. Well, Bo Pelini's biggest concern, the fumbles. That's the 19th fumble this year by Nebraska, only the 8th that they've lost, and Keenan Robinson came up with it.
They knew they had to get some help, and particularly early. They wanted to be able to get some confidence back into this team. They felt like they were lacking a little confidence, but Halou comes down, got the ball in nice and tight, 4 points of pressure like you're supposed to. It looks like Eddie Jones right in the middle of that thing, and then they start tearing it out. Before he gets to the ground, the ball beats him to it, and now it's Texas ball.
Well, they've been fortunate, put the ball on the ground a lot, but hadn't lost many of them. Their 19th fumble, the 8th that they've lost.
Previous play is under further review. Ruling on the field was fumble.
So they'll go upstairs to the replay booth. And meanwhile, a rare takeaway by the Texas defense. Last year they forced 37 turnovers. That led the nation. This is only their 8th takeaway this season. They came in -5 in turnover margin.
Well, that's the definitive look right there, Sean. That will back why Texas got one of those numbers you're talking about. You know, ironically, putting the ball on the ground has been one of the bugaboos for Texas. And we saw it earlier in the punt game in particular. They put the ball on the ground. They talked about, they're talking about the Texas coaching staff, they talked about they need to get some confidence back into this team. They've kind of been on the reel. They lost a couple games. This is a big game. They got a lot of young players. They don't really have any big playmakers per se.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is first down.
And confidence is one of those things that swings the balance in a hurry.
It's so important with a team struggling for confidence right now after losses to UCLA and Oklahoma to get off to a good start in a very hostile environment on the road. There are the numbers we're talking about. Will Muschamp, the defensive coordinator there on the left, talking to us the other day about the need to help the offense by creating turnovers. They were +9 in turnover margin last year when they played for a national championship. On the delay, Fozzie Whitaker ahead for 3. Ricky Tenarce, the safety, made a nice comeback after a major knee injury last year, made the tackle.
You know, Sean, you and I were talking about this at lunch, but this Nebraska defense, this is probably the fastest defense in the entire NCAA. I don't care what level. Everybody runs extremely well. And so what Texas is doing to counter that is they're spreading them out. They're trying to move people across the field to get fewer numbers inside.
Going back to a spread passing game that's worked well for them in recent years. Gilbert throwing into single coverage. It is caught. James Kirkendall. An incomplete pass is the ruling. Might have lost it once he went down to the ground with Prince Amukamara in coverage.
Well, the Kirkendall on Amukamara, those are 2 outstanding players. And Amukamara, probably the top corner in the NCAA. And he's in the right position, just track the ball. Kirkendall comes down to it. Now remember, he has to maintain control all the way through. Any kind of bobble after he leaves the field, it would be ruled incomplete.
I would think they might give that a closer look. Made more difficult. It looked like it was sliding down there as he hit the ground. But they are going to look at it again. Made more difficult by the shadows.
Ruling on the field was incomplete pass.
You know, Sean, earlier, Quint down on the sideline told us at the start of the game that one of the things that Texas is going to want to do is go with more draws and screens. Well, early on here, the draw and draw fake have been big. They're trying to draw people in when they're throwing outside and spreading them out when they want to run inside.
It looked like the ball was sliding down there. It's tough to tell because he disappears into the shadows.
It's a phenomenal effort by Kirkendall to go get it.
It doesn't look like there the ball's
looked like the ball popped out right there. Yeah.
David Ames is the replay official today.
Sean, the other thing you like, and we talked about it a little bit, was he had to. There were going to be small windows. He had to be very accurate, like you mentioned. That was a great throw to the back corner of the end zone.
There's no doubt he has a terrific arm. And here comes the decision. Greg Burks, the referee.
After further review, ruling on the field is confirmed. 3rd down.
And another example of the replay process working. Great effort by Kirkendall, but he couldn't hang on. And now another 3rd down. And this is that kind of yardage Mac Brown was talking about. You know, in years gone by, Vince Young or Colt McCoy could run for a 1st down in situations like this. They'd like Garrett Gilbert from time to time to pull it down and run for a 1st down.
He's been doing that early.
And there he goes. Not exactly reminiscent of Vince Young, but effective as he got to the 9-yard line and a 1st and goal for Texas.
Gilbert Martinez. Well, maybe not. But he looks like Taylor Martinez on the front end. He's decisive, pulls it down, sees the lane. And then he turns into Bronco Nagurski right about there, a big Earl Campbell. Taking on the defensive back, but getting the 1st down. That's a huge play for Gilbert.
And a bad tackle there by Ricky Tenarce did not wrap up, and that allowed Gilbert to get the 1st down. He's averaging 10.5 yards per rush, a la Taylor Martinez.
Changing it at the line.
Bodie Johnson, the running back, and he powers down to the 3. They tend to go to him when they get near the goal line. He has 27 career rushing touchdowns, a bruiser at 5'11", 250 pounds.
You mentioned it, power, and that's what he's got. That's his asset, so that's what they use. And he's able to get that power and be effective there because this offensive line right now is handling the down lineman of Nebraska.
2nd and goal from the 3. And a timeout has been called. Timeout called by Nebraska on their heels one of the few times this year. Students rushing in here hours before kickoff to get the best seats in the student section. Memorial Stadium, one of the great venues in all of college football. And Bo Pelini has turned this Nebraska program back around to where you would expect it to be. With his team down 3-0, and Texas is looking for more. 2nd and goal from the 3. Fozzie Whitaker, the run back. They fake it, and Gilbert's going to walk in untouched. Great call by Greg Davis, and a touchdown for the Longhorns.
Greg Davis told us during the week, and he hammered the point home to Garrett Gilbert all week long. Remember, Garrett Gilbert was a 1,000-yard rusher in high school. He has run skills, and when the opportunity presents itself, they hammered into him. Take it. Use what you have. Use your assets. His feet are one of them. 6 points.
Texas, a 9.5-point underdog, leading 9-0, and now 10-0 as Justin Tucker added the extra point.
Sean, you said a great call by Greg Davis. Let me show you why it was a great call. The first thing he does is he gets all the flow going this way defensively. Remember their speed. He's going to use it against them. So they start bringing it back this way, and then he keeps it, and that you'll see all the red shirts. Look at them go. There they go. Now, because of that, here it is. And you just take it in. See right there? Back to the ball. He can't defend it. Walk right in. Great call by Greg Davis. And it's executed to perfection by Garrett Gilbert.
There's Greg Davis, been the offensive coordinator throughout Mack Brown's 13 years as head coach. It's Gilbert's first rushing touchdown of the season, his 2nd of his career. The sophomore from Austin, Texas. So Texas looking sharp after a bye week they had last Saturday off after the loss to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. Kickoff by Tucker through the back of the end zone, and we'll check in with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
Thanks, Sean. I'll be here all afternoon updating you on games being played across the country. Starting with this Taco Bell studio update.
Iowa hasn't won at the Big House since 2002, and they're down early thanks to Denard Robinson finding Vincent Smith. And Michigan leads early over Iowa by a score of 7-0. And Oklahoma State is leading Texas Tech 7-0. Kendall Hunter has a touchdown run. Oklahoma State 5-0 for the 2nd time in their last
Martinez keeps and gets dropped to the line of scrimmage by Keenan Robinson.
Sean, a few weeks back, we had an opportunity to watch this Texas team against UCLA. And in the first half, they handled that offense. And then what broke down with them was assignments. And so when you play an option team like Nebraska, it's assignment football, and they force you to tackle out in space. So far, Texas is playing it as well as it can be done.
They gave Martinez the 21, a gain of a yard. Handed it off that time to Rex Burkhead, the Texas native from Plano. Keenan Robinson and Aaron Williams combined on the tackle. Another short gain of a yard for Nebraska.
Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator, and you know, he and Bo Pelini are pretty good friends, and they like each other's defenses, and they run similar things, especially in coverage. They both have good speed on defense. They like to play some man, but they play a little matchup zone, and like I said, they talk about it a lot in the off seasons.
Nebraska 3 and out on their first possession, trying to avoid it again. 3rd down and 8. Martinez throws, and it is incomplete. Intended for Quincy Enunwa, the true freshman, and Blake Gideon broke it up.
That is a fantastic play by Blake Gideon coming from his safety spot. He has the outside, and he's going to make the break. He read the quarterback perfectly on Martinez, was on the throw. Watch him come over hand inside. It's good defense.
Now the junior from Leander, Texas, who started every game of his Texas career, all 32 of them now. Alex Henry on the punt into the wind. First punt traveled 41 yards. Curtis Brown had trouble with it. This is a very good kick into the wind, and Brown will just get away from it and takes a Cornhusker bounce down to the 18-yard line. Down by Anthony West. 62-yard punt. Gilbert and the offense back on the field for Texas with a 10-0 lead after this.
You're watching ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Back in Lincoln, the DirecTV Drive to the National Championship bus is here with us today. It's had a busy week. Started the week at Ohio State, stops at Missouri and Iowa, then on here to Lincoln for live shots during the week with Bo Pelini and Matt Millen, among others, from inside the DirecTV mobile studio. We love having that bus here.
Yeah, not quite the Madden Cruiser. John always had a lot more food than they do.
First snap for Texas in its own territory. From the 19, Garrett Gilbert with a lot of time, throwing the single coverage, up for grabs and incomplete. Broken up by Alfonso Dennard. An outstanding cornerback. Marquise Goodwin is down. He was the intended receiver.
And he is their big player in the passing game. And you mentioned it, Sean. You know, there are two corners on this Nebraska team. Dennard on one side, Amukamara on the other. They're as good as they are at college football. Amukamara will probably be a very high pick in the NFL draft. And Dennard, same kind of style. He's still growing, has good, strong hands, and can run. Does a really nice job of taking things away with his body. He's understanding how to play it down the field. And they both track the ball well.
Would have been interesting to see him fully leap there, because Carl Pelini, the defensive coordinator, told us yesterday that Dennard has a 44-inch vertical. He's only about 5'10", but he makes up for that relative lack of height with leaping ability. The good news for Texas, Marquise Goodwin walking off the field under his own power. Great athlete, originally a track scholarship at Texas. He's the NCAA long jump champion. He can fly.
Well, he's got the great speed that can stretch this Nebraska defense.
I like the play calling.
This is impressive. I mean, this is going to be a humdinger.
Gilbert takes off running again. Clearly a big part of their game plan. And good yardage. He made the 25-yard line for a gain of 6 before he was chopped down near the boundary by P.J. Smith.
So, Sean, you mentioned it. Clearly part of the game plan. And so the design and that part of the game plan, what that will do is it will force Nebraska at one point to add an extra defender. They're going to have to account for the running of the quarterback sooner or later. And when that happens, you'd think you'd be able to throw down the field.
3rd down and 4. We'll see what Greg Davis has called for the Longhorns. A blitz from Texas, or from Nebraska rather, and a quick pass to Malcolm Williams lunging. It looks like they're going to give him a great spot. The crowd groans as the line judge walks it up near the 30-yard line. Wow, what a spot that was. Levante David and P.J. Smith combine on the stop, and it's a 1st down for Texas.
They're going to spot it. The main spot comes from up here. And because this official's behind it. And so he marked it. That doesn't even look like it's close.
Now, if anything, he was straddling the yellow line when he caught it. He certainly wasn't nearly a yard beyond it where they marked it. Fozzie Whitaker, the ball carrier. Texas went quickly. And that was probably a smart maneuver as well. Whitaker got to the 33-yard line for a gain of about 3.
Marquise Goodwin back inside, or Goodwin rather. And again, here's his speed, and they're going to protect the speed a little bit by putting him in a bunch coverage, which forces you defensively to have to sit off a little bit. See it right up top.
2nd and 7. Handed off inside to Whitaker, and Baker Steinkuhler made the tackle, and we go to Quint Kessenich.
Guys, a noticeable difference for Texas. Garrett Gilbert, vocal, demonstrative on the sidelines with his teammates. He admitted to us this week that he's naturally shy and quiet. He says sometimes he has to get out of his comfort zone to lead. He's only a sophomore. He's doing it with his mouth and his play today.
Took advantage of the weekend off to go watch his younger brother Griffin play at his alma mater, Lake Travis High School in Austin. Griffin's a wide receiver. 3rd down. Gilbert throws, bad throw. Too high and behind his intended target, Fozzie Whitaker. And Texas will punt for the first time in the ball game with 4:12 left in the 1st quarter, and the Horns leading 10-0.
Nebraska defense and Bo Pelini, Carl Pelini, defensive coordinator, on that 2nd down, he dialed up a blitz. They normally don't do that. This is a team that's been able to handle whatever teams have been giving them just with 4 people in the rush and then dropping the rest in coverage.
Miles Paul back for the punt from John Gold, a senior, averaging just under 43 yards per punt. Has the breeze at his back. And Paul let it hit right at the sideline near the 17-yard line. They'll mark it at the 18. And again, not great field position for Nebraska. College football continues tonight on ESPN. Terrell Pryor and the first-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes head to Madison for a tough road test against number 18 Wisconsin. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN. The game also available online and on your phone. We have a sea of red here. There will be a sea of red in Madison tonight. The great Pryor having a nice year. Heisman Trophy candidate certainly.
We've certainly been watching him, Sean, grow from year to year. Each year he's gotten better. He has more control of the offense, and he's always a threat with his run.
Martinez driven back to the line of scrimmage. And Ohio State, when they're the #1 team, they don't lose on the road. They have won 13 straight road games when they've been the top-ranked team in the country.
And usually they do it with great defense, and they're doing it with offense and defense, much like we're seeing here out of this Texas Longhorn team today. This defense right now, I don't know if you can play this offense any better. They are playing fantastic assignment football, and they're tackling very well.
A lot of people off the Texas bandwagon at 3-2, but there's still a lot of athletes in this Texas program, particularly on the defense. Martinez, nowhere to throw it and nowhere to run. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Chased out by Alex Okafor.
And Keyston Randall really did a good job. And first it's coverage, Sean. They take the coverage away down below, and then Keyston Randall stays with him. It's imperative when you're rushing Martinez, don't get past him. Don't get beyond him. Give yourself a chance. Watch Randall. Then he uses the sideline as his friend, and it's tackled by the sideline. But look at the coverage down the field. Nowhere to go. He's going to have to see the whole field. It's not going to happen. They're all over Niles Paul. Very well done.
Well, Mac Brown said before the year this had a chance to be the best defense he's had at Texas. Martinez couldn't find a receiver. Takes off running and has the first down. Explosive speed. Kenny Vaccaro tripped him up in the open field. It's the first down for Nebraska.
One of the things that this Texas defense wanted to be able to do is turn it into a one-sided game, and that they wanted it to be the passing game. Well, one of the byproducts of your great coverage is you force Martinez to pull it down and run, and then it turns into a running game.
14-yard gain. Tom Osborne, the legendary Nebraska coach, now the athletic director, said he's never seen anybody with as much initial speed first 3 steps as Taylor Martinez possesses. Niles Paul broke a tackle, and he's pulled down after about an 8-yard gain. They'll give him 9 yards to the 41-yard line, yanked down by Aaron Williams.
What a good-looking rascal that Niles Paul is. We had a chance to sit and talk with him, but this guy is pure football player, and he's an unselfish player. And talking about Taylor Martinez, he wants to win, and so he came here to catch footballs and become a receiver, and he'll play at the next level. But he's turned into a great blocker because they know that Martinez, to the next level, you've got to block for him to spring the big one.
Just 12 catches this year. He had 40 last year, but he's happy to be a blocker as long as they keep scoring and winning. Roy Halou Jr. gets him the first down, and we get it back to Robert in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, studio update brought to you by New York Life. Ryan Mallett, a touchdown pass for Arkansas. Cam Newton using the truck stick for a touchdown run for Auburn. They're tied. Iowa has also tied it with a touchdown pass from Ricky Stanzi, with Michigan 7-7, end of watch. Sean.
And here it's 10-0 Texas, ticking down to a minute and a half left in the first quarter. Martinez, good play action fake. Receiver wide open, and Niles Paul dropped it.
Yeah, he needed to lead him, Sean. Had he led him, he'd probably still be running. The ball was on his back hip. Now, the type of receiver that Paul is, you see him on the crossing route, he's good enough to make that play. He's got to make that play. It's wide open. Yes, the throw is not there. It should have been a better throw, but Niles Paul is a talented enough player to turn that into a big play.
When we shook hands with Niles yesterday, you remarked he had very small hands, and he was very sensitive about that.
Yeah, he did,
He's usually a very sure-handed receiver. despite the fact that he does not have particularly large hands. Back to the run with Roy Halou to the 49-yard line for a gain of 4.
One thing that the Longhorns wanted to be able to do is get Nebraska into third and plus, more than 5. And they can get them in that. They wanted to be able to make Martinez have to throw the football. Now, they've had coverage in the last 2 previous series, but his legs have beaten him. So let's see what they try to do to try to take that part away.
3rd down and 6, a minute to go, first quarter. Nebraska with the ball down 10-0. Martinez throws short. Now's Paul held on to the ball, broke a tackle, and has a first down inside the 30. Christian Scott made the stop for Texas.
Nice route by Paul. It's just an arrow. It's going to be in and then back out. It's designed to be able to get the defender on your inside hip. And once he does, the ball's thrown to the outside, and then Paul just does the rest. Good protection. See how they're rushing him. They don't want to get beyond the quarterback. They're keeping him in front of him.
23-yard play for Paul, senior from Omaha, one of 13 children. One of the hardest parts of his week is finding tickets for all of his relatives who want to come to the games here at sold-out Memorial Stadium. Burkhead dropped for a loss by a fired-up Sam Acho, and will likely be the last play of the first quarter. Texas has reason to be fired up. They limped in here, losers of 2 straight, unranked for the first time in a decade, but leading number 5 Nebraska 10-0 at the end of a quarter. Texas demonstrating it has a lot of character. Came in here having lost 2 in a row. They lead 10-0 as we go to the second quarter. Nebraska on the move. 2nd and long, man wide open, Taylor Martinez. Incomplete pass dropped by the normally sure-handed Rex Burkhead, who was all alone down the far sideline.
Burkhead is, you said it, wide open, all alone, all by himself. Watch Burkhead. He's going to go right down the outside. This is going to have to really be picked up. It gets lost. Did you see how they went to three defenders there? Perfectly thrown ball. Should have been 6. Burkhead's the first one to know it.
He's a Texas product from Plano. Was recruited by Texas. Took a visit there. Martinez collared after a short gain. 3rd down and 12, and they go to a quarterback run, and Acho and Robinson were ready for Taylor Martinez. Nebraska's rushed for only 34 yards so far.
And those 2 names you said are a big reason why. Acho has been everywhere in this first quarter, as has Robinson, both of them playing extremely well. But that kid right there, Sam Acho, he's special. That's a special player.
Here's a special kicker, Alex Henry, the senior from Omaha. Missed only 7 field goals in his career. 5 of those have been from 50+. This is a 45-yarder. And it's just about a gimme for him. He's made 13 field goals in a row now. It's his 55th career field goal, 2 shy of the Nebraska record held by Chris Brown, an 11-year NFL veteran. And Nebraska's on the board. It's 10-3. Well, Texas has come in here and ended some long Nebraska home winning streaks over the years. They did it in 1998, led by Ricky Williams, who rushed for 150 yards in that ball game. A 20-16 upset victory over the 7th-ranked Huskers. That ended a 47-game home winning streak for Nebraska. And Mack Brown said he was so impressed. That was the first team he brought to Lincoln as head coach of Texas. Ricky Williams doing some interviews on the field after the game. A lot of the fans were still here for Nebraska. When Ricky was running off, Mack wondered if he should put his helmet on, afraid of what might happen from the stands. And instead, these great fans here chanted Heisman, Heisman at an opposing player, Ricky Williams, as he ran off the field.
Yeah, they appreciate great play all the way around. And this is, you know, I got to say, Sean, this might be the best in all of college football right here.
There's none better, certainly. Maybe there are some that equal it, but there's nothing better than these fans in this atmosphere. Sold out every home game since 1962. Bob the Manny's first year as coach. Adi Kunalik boots it through the back of the end zone. No chance for Marquise Goodwin to bring that one back. Time for our first Pacific Life game summary of the day. And the big number, the 32 rushing yards for Nebraska. Second in the country in rushing, averaging 337 yards per game on the ground. But this talented and well-coached Texas defense winning those battles.
And then offensively for Texas, it's the feet of Garrett Gilbert. And that's been the difference so far in this game.
Yeah, we thought quarterback runs might be the difference, but we thought it would be by the guy on the other team. They turn up the volume on Garrett Gilbert again. Oh, they had that play. Beautiful fake, and then Whitaker came open with a lot of running room, and the throw just a little bit too short, where he had plenty of room to run.
I couldn't quite catch the number. They came in motion. He comes right off. It's I couldn't see it there, but it's well done defensively. And Gilbert knew where he had to go, and he had him back underneath. It was Hag, 28.
And Kirkendall was the motion man who helped set up that play. Great creativity in the play calling today. Fozzie Whitaker carries, and Greg Davis has come under some heat for being a little conservative in the play calling. He admits that perhaps with Gilbert, a first-year starter, 3 new starters on the offensive line, he's been a little reluctant to open it up here before, but with a couple of losses now, clearly the playbook is more wide open today.
Well, he's going to put more on the shoulders of this guy right here, Gilbert.
He was one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks in the country coming out of Lake Travis in Austin. Won National Player of the Year honors. On 3rd and 7, ball deflected and falls incomplete. Intended for Mike Davis, batted down by Eric Haig.
John, normally they like to go with 4 down people, and they just like to push the pocket. This time they go with 3 down. They stand up Jared Crick, but they still are able to get in front of him so he doesn't have a pure throwing lane. Carl Pelini believes that if you take the throwing lanes away from him and force the quarterback to move, that's when you get your sacks.
Haig with the coverage. Ball deflected the line of scrimmage. Niles Paul back for the punt from Justin Tucker. Rugby style punt. And with some backspin, Paul got away from it. It's down at the 37-yard line. By Dravante Johnson, 40-yard punt. Nebraska back on the field, down by a touchdown. Back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Time for today's Aflac trivia question. With Taylor Martinez emerging as a Heisman Trophy candidate, we want to know what is the highest a freshman has ever finished in the Heisman Trophy balloting. Certainly Taylor in the conversation after a 5-0 start with the great numbers he's put up, and a chance on the national stage today. They hand it off to Niles Paul, and he's driven out of bounds. Virtually no gain. Emmanuel Acho played it well.
Sam Acho and Emmanuel Acho, both of them, brothers and playing. They both are very smart players. Very rarely do they put themselves in poor positions. They're the type of players that a coach can count on, because he's always going to do exactly what they're supposed to do.
Emmanuel Acho coming off a huge game against Oklahoma. 17 tackles, a career high, 5 of them for a loss. Martinez kept it and got buried for a loss. Back at the 35 by Keyston Randall.
Sean, we've seen this a few times. Last time by Acho, Sam Acho, this time by Keyston Randall. This is what we were talking about earlier in terms of assignment football. Now, if you're a fan at home and you're saying, oh, heck, they didn't even block him. Well, that's by design. That's the guy they're going to let free, and they're giving that to the quarterback read. In these last 2 instances, Martinez has not made the proper read, but these defenders have done what they're supposed to.
Another 3rd down and long. 3rd and 13. They've averaged better than 10 yards to go on 3rd down. It might be longer now with movement on the right side of the line.
False step, number 73, the offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
DJ Jones, the right tackle, senior from Omaha.
Oh, DJ Jones a little jumpy because guess who's over him? Sam Acho. You know, when I hear that name, Sean, you just want to say,
You think
Acho man. You just want to say it. I'm not going to do that though.
So I thought you were going to go for nachos because I know how you like to eat.
Good point by you.
Acho man. Well, they are two brothers on the defense. They're Acho men. Niles Paul, good run after the catch, but he had too far to go to get the first down. Aaron Williams banged him down across the 40. 11-yard gain, but they're still about 7 short of the first down. So here's Alex Henry to punt for the 3rd time. Curtis Brown back for the punt. Aiming for the corner, and he did well. The official still running. Oh boy.
And the wind got a hold of that one, Sean.
Wow, we must have a bad angle because I would have been convinced that ball was going to be marked around the 10-yard line. They're going to spot it at the 22. 37-yard punt for Henry. And there's a look at the display inside Nebraska's football experience room that pays tribute to their 3 Heisman Trophy winners, and all 3 are here today. Johnny Rogers, Mike Rozier, and Eric Crouch, introduced to this sellout crowd during the timeout. Eric Crouch has had his name mentioned a lot of comparisons between Taylor Martinez and Eric Crouch with their great running ability. Fozzie Whitaker showing some excellent running ability. Stayed on his feet. Late flag comes in as he goes down at the 28-yard line after a 6-yard gain, tackled by Ricky Tenars.
All 3 of those guys, Sean, were tremendous college football players, but one, Johnny Rogers, was electric. He was off the charts.
We're also honoring the 1970 Nebraska National Championship team here this weekend.
Personal foul, face mask, number 3 of the defense. 15 from the end of the run, 1st down.
Apparently on the tackle, Tenars grabbed the face mask of Whitaker.
He got it. Got on the top of it. And they're going to call that in college football right away. Heck, they call that at all levels.
Well, in the rule book, it says if there's any question, it is to be called. It looked like there's some question there. It was tough to tell if it was just the top of the helmet or the face mask, but if in doubt, they are supposed to throw the flag, and they did. So from the 44, Garrett Gilbert threw it into a crowd at the feet of Malcolm Williams. Gilbert got spilled as he got it off. It'll be 2nd and 10, early 2nd quarter. Gilbert and Longhorns leading 5th-ranked Nebraska 10-3.
You know, I've been impressed with the discipline of both defenses. Pierre Allen, at that time, being exactly where he has to be. You've seen the discipline from the Texas defenders, and you're also seeing it out of this Nebraska defense. Both teams very well coached.
And this Nebraska defense built first to stop the pass, and Gilbert's just 1 out of 8 today for 5 yards, and in trouble again. Showing that running ability again. He got banged out of bounds on the far sideline by Lavonte David. Next time Garrett might just want to make a right turn and go out of bounds. David helped him with emphasis across the boundary at the 49.
Yeah, here's your emphasis right there. And that's a clean hit. He's still in bounds. He's on his way out. But you're not going to run away from Lavonte David. This guy can flat out fly. Just talking to him yesterday, what a great kid. And he is having a tremendous year, Sean. But they say that he is an even better kid than a player.
First year here at Nebraska as a junior college transfer. Junior from Miami, went to Fort Scott in Kansas. 3rd and 5. And a timeout called. And there's also a flag in the secondary. I think they were going to call delay a game.
There is no foul for delay. Timeout, Texas.
They got the timeout first.
Well, so far in this game, Garrett Gilbert has looked like Vince Young on a couple 3rd downs.
Rushed for 56 yards and a touchdown. Will he run again on 3rd down and 5? Stands in the pocket, throws for a first down and much more. Inside the 30 and off to the races. Whitaker taken down from behind by Prince Amukamara to save a touchdown. He made it to the 10-yard line.
Sean, the whole thing starts because the offensive line gave him great protection and a throwing lane. Watch in the top and see the lane right there. Look at that. Perfect. He's able to find Whitaker down inside, and then Whitaker, of course, does the rest. Just a circle route out of the backfield.
41-yard gain, longest reception for Whitaker, who's a good pass receiver out of the backfield. Cody Johnson takes his place in the backfield now. He takes the handoff from Gilbert and powers his way inside the 5, wrapped up by P.J. Smith.
You know, on that last route, Sean, Fozzie Whitaker ended up using Levante David's speed against him. David got a little bit too high, and you know, fast guys, they need to learn how to come in. Everybody does really, but inside out on that receiver. He wasn't able to get into that position. Whitaker took the inside hard.
2nd and goal for Texas. Trying to take its largest lead of the day. They led 10-0. Trying to go up by 14 here and down to the goal lines. Johnson. No signal for a touchdown yet. They're going to mark him inches short.
Well, what's really impressive about this is they're running right at the inside. Baker Steinkuhler and Jared Crick.
They go quickly and score a touchdown. Good work by Texas. Nebraska still milling about defensively. And Garrett Gilbert keeps and scores his 2nd touchdown of the season, rushing both today. He's the running quarterback that's been the star of the day so far, and it's a 2-touchdown lead for Texas.
And that was smart football, Sean. You said it. They go quickly. They caught Nebraska not quite ready. They just snapped the ball and boom, he's into the end zone.
And Justin Tucker will try to make it a 14-point lead. Movement, flag down. Kick is good. Looked like Nebraska was moving.
Defense was offsides. That penalty's declined. Try is good. Timeout.
Garrett Gilbert takes the plunge from a couple of inches from the goal line, and it's a stunner right now in Lincoln. Back in Lincoln, we're just seconds after Cody Johnson was stopped just short of the goal line by Nebraska, and it looked like a good spot because his knee's down and the ball was inches shy of the goal line. Texas came up quickly. I was a little surprised, Matt, because I thought they might wait for a replay review to see if the previous play was a touchdown, but Gilbert went in. If Gilbert had been stuffed, he could have raised the question, did they cost themselves perhaps a replay review that would have given him a touchdown on Johnson's play?
And what they did, though, what Gilbert did a great job of, though, when he got to the line of scrimmage and they were going to go with the quick count, he was able to see to his right the void. And that's what he allowed his offensive line to get into the blocks, and then he just slipped to that void and got the 6.
There's Justin Tucker to kick off. Squib kick. Caught on the bounce by Niles Paul, and he's tripped up. Kenny Vaccaro down there like a rocket. Tripped up Paul near the 25-yard line. Well, we said heading to the break, a stunner right now in Lincoln. Stunning, not so much that Texas is ahead, but certainly the 2-touchdown edge is surprising. Because the question coming in, yes, Nebraska was 5-0, but they have not really played a particularly difficult schedule. Western Kentucky, Idaho, and South Dakota State here. Road wins at Washington and Kansas State. So you knew this was going to be by far Bo Pelini's biggest test of the season. Against a team that has a lot of talent, despite the disappointing 3-2 record. Roy Halou ahead for a couple to the 27-yard line.
And you know, Sean, part of that disappointing record was a loss to UCLA. And that UCLA loss really opened their eyes because it was an offense and has similarities with this, and they really got a little lazy defensively. And that's really what got them, because you know, remember that game in the first half they played them perfectly. In the second half they took a couple of bites on the fake and the cheese, and it was over.
And Will Muschamp said that was such a strange game because UCLA in the second half ran basically the same plays against the same Texas defenses. They were much more effective in the second half. Paul's wide open. Fell down after catching it, but it's a big gainer. Well thrown ball. You know, the delivery doesn't look particularly good from Taylor Martinez, but the coaches say it's a very quick release and he has plenty on the ball, and you see that. That was a line drive strike for a 25-yard completion.
And Sean Watson, the offensive coordinator from Nebraska, goes right back to what he'd done earlier when Niles threw it behind him. There's ample time to throw. This time it's a strike.
And if you hit him right in stride, it would have been a bigger gainer for some run after the catch. Kalu across midfield. He's to the Texas 48 for a gain of 5. And now Sean Watson going to a new wrinkle. They haven't shown no huddle and the hurry up this year. They've been holding that back in the arsenal. The Texas ready for it. Oklahoma hit Texas with the hurry up with impact in a Red River rivalry. Martinez makes something out of nothing. They're going to mark it at the 45-yard line. 3-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 2 midway through the second quarter.
Of course, he ran about 35 yards and picked up 8. And that's what drives you crazy about quarterbacks like Martinez. And he does. I mean, this guy, you said it earlier, Sean, when the coaches were talking about how fast he gets to full speed. 3 steps and he's there.
And they had a great feature on game day this morning. John Brenkus of Sports Science said he gets to full speed and 75% of his full speed in 3 steps. Kalu gets the first down, and that is uncommon initial quickness for Taylor Martinez. 3 steps and he's already at 75% of what would be his full speed.
And that's rare. I was around one other guy in all my years of playing who could do that. He could do it in 2 steps. His name was Vincent Bo Jackson, and a big man on top of him.
Keenan Robinson is down. Plano, Texas, where he resides now, but he was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and as a young boy he had an uncle who used to bring him over here to Lincoln for fan day. He'd meet the Nebraska players, get their autographs. He lived in this area till he was about 6 years old before moving to Texas.
Well, he's an active player, and they need him to play well in order for this defense to play well. You're going to see him right there, number 1. He's going to be tracking that ball, and it looks like he goes head to head with his own guy, Blake Gideon. Kalu does the old Kalu goodbye, and they hit each other right in the noggin.
It's hard to believe Gideon wasn't shaken up on the play as well. Keenan Robinson is their leading tackler for the season and their leading returning tackler from their great defense of last year, which lost 4 starters to the NFL draft.
And Sean, he did not play well in the second half of that UCLA game. He did not play well. And Jackson Jeffcoat did not play well. And Eddie Jones. Those 3, they made some atypical mistakes.
Yeah, they counted, the coaches, about 18 missed tackles in the second half of that UCLA game. And a lot of missed assignments. Guys just in the wrong place. After they basically stuffed UCLA in the first half of that game, held them to 77 yards of offense.
And they've done the same thing here in the first half so far to this Husker offense. They've been like Task Force Storm, like down there in Fort Polk. They've been all over the place.
Well, Bo Pelini said yesterday, we probably haven't played a defense yet that had the speed to run us down. When guys like Kalu and Burkhead and particularly Martinez get in the clear, they're going to run away from most teams. But these Texas defenders have the speed to run down plays for Will Muschamp. Robinson walked off the field, looked a little bit wobbly. 1st and 10. Martinez in trouble and pulled down by Emmanuel Acho behind the line of scrimmage.
That's the team speed we're talking about. Perfect illustration of what you just said. This team can flat out run. Nebraska, same way. But Nebraska offensively has not, particularly Martinez, has not seen this kind of defensive speed.
And Taylor is 18 yards rushing on 10 carries. Going to throw a deep ball. Has a man behind the defense. It's Niles Paul, and it's incomplete. Christian Scott, the safety, had the coverage.
Martinez knew where he wanted to go. He knew he was man up on the outside. He's going to turn it over to Scott. He's got half a step. He throws it to the inside. Oh, I don't know if he tracked that well enough, Sean. Oh, it's right through his hands. Right through his hands. You've got to make that catch. That's a really well thrown ball by Martinez.
Yes, it was. Hicks was looking back into the sun. Don't know if that was a factor or not, but clearly a ball that should have been caught. So another 3rd down and long, 3rd and 15, and that pass is incomplete, intended for Brandon Kinney. Husker Nation wants a flag on Shockey Brown. They're not going to get it.
And the reason is because the ball's thrown behind him, and Shockey Brown had good coverage on him. You're going to watch, he's going to hold the outside position, which means you're going to want to take that inside throw. Shockey Brown gets a hand on it. Well defensed.
Well, these Husker fans who are still smarting over that second being put back on the clock in the Big 12 title game. Not real happy with the officiating here today either so far. Texas has not been penalized. Good punt by Henry. John Gomes tried to down it and could not. Looked like they had a great chance to get it inside the 2. But they failed. So now it's time for the answer to today's Aflac trivia question. The highest freshman has ever finished in the Heisman Trophy voting is 3rd, and it's happened 3 times. And I was surprised at one of them, but you knew Clint Castleberry because you played against him.
Yeah, he was pretty good too.
Running back at Georgia Tech back in 1942. Herschel Walker we both got in 1980, and Michael Vick in 1999, leading the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Old CC, that's what we like to call him, Clint. You know, Clint Castleberry, even though his last name was a K, was not a big deal, but he could go.
And Martinez's candidacy taking some damage to this point today, but a long way to go. And here's Garrett Gilbert, who really does think he's Vince Young all of a sudden. You know, he put the sports science clock on Taylor Martinez. I don't think we'll see a sports science segment about the speed of Garrett Gilbert, but he has been effective today.
Because his decision making has been very good.
And they're going quickly up to the line of scrimmage again, and this time Nebraska was set and ready, and Whitaker was dropped by Cameron Meredith and Levante David for a loss.
Cameron Meredith, that defensive end, just a strong, powerful kid, and they do a great job. We talked about those 4 down guys. They do a great job for the next level. Those linebackers. Gomes is really a safety, and he's dropped down, number 7, and then Levante David. Levante David goes about maybe 215, and Gomes goes about 210, and they both can really run and have great instinct. But it's made possible, their game is, by the defensive line.
Out of the gun on 3rd and 7. Garrett Gilbert steps into a throw, and it's almost intercepted. Great move on the ball by Alfonso Dennard. Marquise Goodwin, the intended receiver.
Now we've talked about those corners. Amukamara on one side, Alfonso Dennard on the other. They will track you.
Nebraska's intercepted a pass in 9 straight games. They don't have a pick yet today. John Gold, the punt. Gold and Tucker have handled the punting chores, almost equally divided this year. Gold hits a bomb. Miles Paul along the sideline. Good return. Shot down at the 43-yard line. There is a flag down. 48-yard punt, 18-yard return.
Looks like Niles Paul's downs also. That was a gutsy move on the sideline, Sean. He was able to get there. He faked out the first guy and then got to that left sideline.
It's actually a 58-yard punt. And Paul helped off. There's a flag on the return. And Keenan Robinson is heading for the locker room.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 39 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Justin Blatchford called for the illegal block, and there it is. Pushing one of the Texas players across the boundary, hit Alex Zumberge in the back. It was the snapper. Kenny Vaccaro was slow to come off the field for Texas. He's an important defensive back for them. He's not on the field right now. Martinez got stopped in his tracks by Blake Gideon. The crowd didn't like the little celebration by Gideon at the end of the play. It's good for a 5-yard gain for Taylor Martinez.
Well, Martinez this time, he keeps it himself. But Blake Gideon, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good physical tackle all the way around, and he ran the lane from the back of from that safety spot all the way through.
Gideon, the son of a coach, his dad coach at his high school, Leander, just outside Austin. Martinez kept it, lost the football. Still free. Aaron Williams banged it out. And it looked like Mike Caputo, the center, got it back. And Nebraska so often this year fortunate they put it on the ground time after time. More often than not, they recover their own fumbles.
And Martinez, he's going to hold on to it. But as you watch the scramble, and you're right, Caputo comes up with it. But Martinez is not finding the room he's been accustomed to, again, because of the way this defense runs for Texas.
3rd down and 5. Nearing 3 minutes to go in the half. Martinez in traffic and incomplete. Intended for Brandon Kinney.
Sean, we said out in Washington when we had an opportunity to watch this Nebraska offense, we thought that the only chink in the offense for Nebraska was if they had to throw the football, because Martinez is not an accomplished thrower yet. That's the position that Texas has been able to put them in.
Here's Henry to punt. Even with this gusty wind, these punters are making it tough to tell which way the wind's blowing. Looks like Henry had the wind at his back, and he bombed one down to the 13-yard line. 54-yard punt. With a win last week in California, Tony Stewart has reemerged as a championship contender, but Jimmy Johnson's 3rd-place finish helped him increase his points lead. It's the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continuing with the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte tonight, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC, and coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at 7 Eastern. Of course, Denny Hamlin was the points leader when the chase began. Here's Fozzie Whitaker. Texas with the ball, a 2-touchdown lead and 2 timeouts left. Whitaker made it to the 17-yard line for a gain of 4. The children of the corn are not happy.
A couple of sad colonels right there.
You saw on game day this morning, they have a fan who's here today who flew here from Bangkok, more than 8,000 miles.
I said he wasn't going to pay the bills. He wanted to get to the game.
At 19 hours in the air plus layovers. Here's Trey Newton. Flag's down. Newton's down near the 1st down marker, but there's a flag back in the offensive backfield. P.J. Smith made the stop. And Carl Pelini out on the field as if to say about time you called a penalty on them.
10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
The mock cheer goes up from this Nebraska crowd. Of course, this is their last season in the Big 12. And Texas has been hurting itself with penalties. They had 9 penalties in the loss to UCLA. Excuse me, last week against Oklahoma. 5 turnovers against UCLA. So it's 2nd and 14. Fozzie Whitaker out to the 14-yard line. Looks like Nebraska next year will be in the Big Ten. They're going to use a timeout.
Yeah, Bo Pelini started calling that one at about the 30-yard line. Had to run all the way down to about the 14 to get it called.
They want to get the ball back, down by 14 points with less than 2 minutes to go in the half. We're back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Fozzie Whittaker getting a moment of attention from the medical staff. It looks like he's all right. Sean McDonough with Matt Millen, Quint Kesnick on the sideline. Our producer Bo Garrett, our director Mike Roig, our terrific ABC, ESPN crew. Delighted to have you with us on a beautiful day in the Nebraska capital. Bo Pelini's 5th-ranked undefeated Cornhuskers down by 14. He just used a timeout, hoping to get a stop here on 3rd and 10 and get the ball back. And it's Newton for a first down. Conservative play call, and they still were able to pick up the first down as Newton ran right through the middle of that Nebraska defense.
They went 2 by 2, 2 receivers on both sides, and so it's just 5 on 5 on the inside, and Texas wins. Everybody on a man, everybody stays there, and then Newton just finds his way.
Good work by that offensive line that's been criticized for not being particularly physical or forceful in the run game. They came in 83rd in the country rushing the football. They're having a big half on the ground, and Garrett Gilbert's been a big part of that. He's out to the 33-yard line. And you wonder if Texas will pick up the pace here with 2 timeouts and the field position improving.
Yeah, they like their 14-point lead, but it never hurts to get more points, especially against an offense that can score fast.
Right now they're showing the look of a team that's satisfied with that 2-touchdown advantage. Play clock down to 10, 45 seconds left in the half. That's a first down for Trey Newton, wrestled down by Baker Steinkuhler. I think out here at the 38-yard line, if I'm Texas now, I hurry up, don't you?
You would think you would, because I got to tell you, Sean, David Snow, the center, Mason Walters, the right guard, 63 Michael Huey, the left guard. They have handled Baker Steinkuhler and Jared Crick on the inside, and that's the strength of that Nebraska defense. So the inside 3 of Texas has played very, very well.
Well, I'm surprised by this.
So am I.
Even if you run a conservative running play, they've been breaking a few of those for 10, 12, 15 yards.
Well, it just sets it up for a great second half. Can't wait to see the adjustments, to see the way this thing's going to go.
Impressive first half by Texas. Their best half of the season. Here's Quint Kesnick.
Coach, how do you best describe the mistakes, the fumble, the penalties, the 2 drops?
You know, you got to make plays in this game, and we didn't. We had our opportunities in that first half. We didn't make plays. We gave them some things, and we just got to settle down and play. It's a lot. We got a lot of football left.
Yeah, 44 yards rushing. What needs to change in your run game?
We got to make the right reads, and we haven't done that a lot. And we just got to clean up our football. When we do that, we'll be fine.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And that's what Bo Pelini told us yesterday. He said even though we're 5-0, we've been too sloppy for my liking, and some sloppiness in the first half today. 17-3 Texas at the half. Stay tuned for a complete halftime report after these messages. We're back in Lincoln, Nebraska, getting ready for the start of the second half. Great job by the Texas defense in the first half, holding Nebraska to 107 yards of offense. Matt, they averaged 338 yards rushing per game. They had just 44 in the first half.
Yeah, Sean, you and I were talking about it just a little bit ago, and the biggest thing is wasted opportunities for this Nebraska offense. You talk about the Niles Paul drop going in, and then Burkhead has 6 points written all over him. And all that being said, when you talk to Bo Pelini, when Quint talked to Bo Pelini, what he said was the poor reads. And so I would expect to see a different offense here in the second half.
Now our Pacific Life game summary. Garrett Gilbert, coaches during the bye week emphasized to him they want him to run more, take advantage of decent running ability. And he scored his first 2 rushing touchdowns of the season in that first half. Meanwhile, the defense held Nebraska to 3 points. Less than 3.5 yards per play. They came up with a turnover. Another point of emphasis during the bye week from the Texas coaches. Get the takeaways. They were such a key to their run to the national championship game last year. Trey Newton on first down for Texas driven back by Baker Steinkuhler.
So Trey Newton gets the call here with Fozzie Whitaker on the side, and they start the second half the same way they ended the first half, trying to take advantage of the good play of their interior three versus Nebraska's two good defensive tackles.
Second and 8. Garrett Gilbert just 2 out of 10 passing in the first half. They keep it on the ground with Newton. He's to the 26. It'll be 3rd and 4. Here's Quint Kesnick.
Guys, I talked to Mac Brown as he was coming out of the locker room. I asked him what he emphasized with this team. A couple things. First of all, the zone read defense. Doing a great job, Texas is defensively. He expects Nebraska to pass the ball more on first down. Second thing we talked about was this first 5 minutes of the third quarter, he felt Nebraska would come out with an emotional surge. His team had to match that energy.
On 3rd and 4. Gilbert got it off for a first down. Trey Newton fought his way out to the 37, tackled by DeJon Gomes and P.J. Smith.
Well, that's a great job of picking up a blitz. They came with a corner blitz off the left side. It gets picked up, and this is just a simple circle route. Again, Levante David's going to have to learn you cannot give a receiver a two-way go. He's got to take something away from him. You take away the inside and at least force him over the top.
Gilbert throwing to single coverage. Ball up for grabs. Well defended by Prince Amukamara, who had coverage on Malcolm Williams.
I know that Nebraska is going to not give Amukamara help, and you're looking at it. That's why they don't give him help. He is an outstanding cover corner. He has very good, strong hands. He can mirror people. His hips are outstanding. And what that translates into, Sean, is your ability to change direction really well. He's a complete player.
2nd and 10. 3 wide receivers for Garrett Gilbert. Again on the cross, it's Newton, and a good tackle in space by Eric Haig. Hybrid player, safety and linebacker, senior out of Peoria, Arizona.
One of the things that this Texas offense is going to have to be as this game goes on is patient. Stay with what has worked for you. And so they come out, they run inside, and then the intermediate passing game and their ability to get their running backs on those linebackers has played well for them so far.
3 receivers bunched to the left. Fozzie Whitaker back in the backfield. He picked up a blitz. Gilbert throws, and again excellent coverage, this time by P.J. Smith, who was running with a true freshman, Darius White.
Well, that emotional surge, part of the emotional surge that they were talking about coming from the crowd, and you can feel it on the 3rd down. This place knows how to raise the temperature inside here, doesn't it?
It's going to get even louder in here in the coming years. Yesterday, the Board of Regents of the University of Nebraska approved a plan to expand this stadium by about 9,000 seats. They're going to get it up to 90,000 as they move to the Big Ten. Had to keep up with some of those enormous stadiums in the Big Ten at Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State. Justin Tucker, rugby punt. And if that stops, it's a thing of beauty for Texas. And they take it out of bounds inside the 2. They might mark it back closer to the 3-yard line. But a great punt by Tucker with a friendly bounce. And Trevante Johnson downed it. They're going to spot it at the 3. 55-yard punt. And here's what you were talking about at the half. They haven't scored a touchdown today, but they easily could have had 2 through the air. Burkhead dropped what would have been a touchdown pass, and then Niles Paul had one go right through his hands.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Obviously, when you have the opportunity to present itself, you got to capitalize on it. And I mean, that's obvious, but they will get more opportunities, and we'll see what they do with them.
Ballou slipped as he went to make a cut, and here's Quint Kesnick.
Texas defense will be without linebacker Keenan Robinson. He's done for the day, head injury. They'll also be without backup safety and special teams ace Kenny Vaccaro, who was injured earlier in that second quarter. Both guys out for Texas.
That's a big loss. Robinson, their leading tackler, and Vaccaro, a very important player in the extra defensive back situations. Martinez lost the ball. Pulling away from center, he lost it. It looked like he might have gotten it back after it was on the ground for a while.
Well, Sean, you talked about it earlier. They lost 18 fumbles, or they fumbled the ball 18 times. They've lost 7 of them. So they do put the ball on the ground quite a bit. This time he's just pulling out too soon. He's pulling out too soon, and he loses the snap, but is able to recover it. But that's a wasted down, and now you have a big third down.
It's their third fumble today. They've lost only 1 of them. They've been living right when it comes to putting the ball on the ground and then getting it back. Halou up the middle, but he can't get the first down on 3rd and 8. He got 6. And that Texas defense rises up again with help from the bobbled snap. It'll be a 3 and out for the Nebraska offense. That's the same way the Nebraska offense began the first half.
Well, Will Muschamp, the defensive coordinator, thought if they could take the run game away and force him to have to throw, he liked his chances. So far, so good.
Alex Henry the punt. Plenty of room after the catch for Curtis Brown. Not a red shirt near him. Ooh, boy, did he get a late finish out of bounds. No question about that. Jay Martin made the tackle, and it looked like Matthew May came with a way too late polish. 48-yard punt, 11-yard return, but there's going to be a penalty for Nebraska for that hit out of bounds. Matthew May is one of their best special teams players. He knows where the boundary is.
After the play, personal foul, number 36 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
He's an interesting young man. He had hernia surgery in May. It didn't take. He went to Germany. Heard about a great hernia procedure in Germany, so he went to Germany for a second surgery. Almost required hernia surgery for his head coach. For the third time today, Texas begins in Nebraska territory. Great field position here after the punt return and the penalty. 32-yard line of the Cornhuskers. They're already in field goal range for Mack Brown, leading by 2 touchdowns. The opening minutes of the third quarter. Good fake by Gilbert. Throws in a double coverage and too high. And a flag thrown. Prince Amukamara and P.J. Smith had the coverage on Marquise Goodwin. And they're going to be flagged, I believe, for pass interference. A ball that didn't look to be catchable. But maybe wasn't catchable because they got in the way.
Pass interference, number 21 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's a Amukamara on the outside against Goodwin, and oh, there it is. That's a good call. Yeah, he was looking for help from P.J. Smith on the inside.
I don't think that's what they called, though, because the flag didn't come until after the ball hit the ground.
Well, they flagged it, whatever it was.
Yep. 6 Nebraska penalty. 1st and 10 Texas at the 17-yard line. Trade Newton, the running back. And Nebraska had a lot of men around the line of scrimmage. Levante David made the tackle after Newton got just inside the 15-yard line.
They're starting to roll the dice a little bit here defensively. They came with a cat corner blitz, Prince Amukamara off the left side, and so this is uncharacteristic for Nebraska. They like Carl Pelini likes to handle things with his front.
Texas Tech 1 year ago, the last team to score more than 21 points against Nebraska. Gilbert, another design run on 2nd and 7. He breaks tackles and got flattened by Cameron Meredith at the 11-yard line.
Cam Meredith makes the tackle, but Baker Steinkuhler makes the play. Steinkuhler holds his ground to the inside. He's bull rushing. Boy, just dominates the left guard, and then does not able to finish it. but Meredith puts the finishing touches on it.
3rd down and 4. The fake to Kirkendall. Gilbert throws, and it is incomplete. Dropped in the end zone by Malcolm Williams. And he's had problems hanging on to the football for the University of Texas.
Good call. Well executed. Poorly caught, obviously, at the end. Not caught at all. But this is a great decision by Garrett Gilbert. He holds on to it just long enough, puts a perfect strike there, and that's got to be a catch. You're going to feel like Rex Burkhead.
Again, you have to admire the play calling today of Greg Davis. Certainly his critics can't say he was conservative today. 29-yard field goal tried by Tucker. He continues to have an excellent year. And the lead grows to 17 points, 20-3 Texas. 8:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. We're going to look inside Nebraska's Mammoth Strength and Conditioning Complex, which is now named after Ndamukong Suh. Great star from last year's team. To me, he should have won the Heisman Trophy. He was the best player in college football last year.
Sean, you and I looked at that tape the other day, and it may have been the most dominating performance I've ever seen from a defensive lineman.
He was great in that Big 12 title game against Texas. Here's Brandon Kinney running back the squib kick to the 32. Let's head back to New York. Here's Robert Flores with a Sports Center right now, presented by Sprint.
That's right, Sean. You know, TCU is the only ranked team in the state of Texas. Number 4 Horned Frogs get a touchdown pass from Andy Dalton to Jimmy Young. They're rolling over BYU 17-0. Meantime, game 2 of the ALCS, Yankees have the Rangers right where they want them, trailing 5-1, top 5.
The Rangers blew the 5-0 lead last night. Taylor Martinez threw a sinker low and away to Niles Paul. During the break, after the field goal by Texas, Bo Pelini was all over the officials, we believe, about that pass interference call against Prince Amukamara, and he was an equal opportunity yeller. Let several of the officials have it, and the crowd really responded to it. He still isn't really thrilled about the way that game ended in the Big 12 title game last year. He said, I'm not sure the second should have been put back or not, and we did plenty of things to hurt ourselves down the stretch there when we could have put the game away. But it was clear he wasn't ready to say, yeah, they did the right thing by putting that second back either. Rex Burkhead carries to the 35-yard line, a gain of 3.
You know, one thing about Bo, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, number 1, but he has a great, not a good, a great mean face. And when he gets mad, I mean, it shows automatically right on his puss, man. He can't hide it.
3rd down and 6. Nebraska 3 for 10 on 3rd down. They've missed their last 4. And that catch is out of bounds. Caught by Kyler Reed, one of their tight ends, but he was across the boundary, helped out by Christian Scott.
Sean, one of the things this Nebraska offense is going to have to do is you watch Kyler Reed. That's a good defensive play. One foot came down right there.
I think his first foot came down, actually.
I think the first one hit in bounds before the other one went out of bounds.
I think his right foot's the first to hit, and then the left. They should stop that, and they did not.
Oh, what a bomb.
By Alex Henry. And Williams on the return. Boy, that is a costly ruling against Nebraska, and it's partially their own fault, I guess, for punting quickly, although that's a hard thing to know. But I think his right foot's there, and the left one follows.
And he has control.
He has possession
all the way through. There's the catch. There's the hit. Foot in bounds right there. And then the other one is not down yet.
No, it's still in the air. You can see when it hits because some of those rubber pellets come up off the ground.
And you can see right here he has control. And now does he have it all the way through? He does. That was a catch.
60-yard punt by Henry. And Trey Newton stopped for a 1-yard gain by P.J. Smith and Levante David. P.J. Smith is a guy Carl Pelini singled out. He's having a terrific year. Just a sophomore. from River Ridge, Louisiana. Already 3 interceptions this season for Nebraska.
And they're versatile. Those guys, they all run well back there. This kid has very good instincts, and he plays from deep, and he sees the whole picture. And a lot of times guys aren't able to do that. He sees it naturally.
Cody Johnson on 2nd and 9. The ball's out. Nebraska has it. Is it a fumble? No signal yet from the officials. And now you see the hand saying 3rd down.
Yeah, and he pointed to the ground saying that it was down.
But why didn't he do that immediately?
He probably wasn't sure. I don't know. But yeah, he's down.
Yeah, he is down.
He's down. That's probably why he didn't do it immediately.
So Johnson comes out, and now the officials are going to stop it, and perhaps they're going to look at this one.
Well, they missed one earlier because that was a catch.
The runner was down.
Yeah, they should have stopped it to review that catch because it looked like a catch by Kyler Reed.
Elbow and hand. Let's see if the knee comes down. No, it's on top of but the elbow, once the elbow's down, that's down. A hand actually is no. You can go with a hand. Elbow, they count that as down. And forearm.
And it's quite possible his right knee was down too, which we really can't see in the pile. Certainly, I don't think he could overturn it since the call on the field after some consideration was down at the 28-yard line. Carl Pelini hoping for the reversal, but it seems unlikely to happen. The older brother of the head coach and his defensive coordinator.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. 3rd down.
Which sets up a 3rd down. And again, this is where Gilbert has been very good today. Not necessarily with his arm, Sean, with his feet.
Just a 4-man rush. Gilbert throws it away over the head of Malcolm Williams. Alfonso Dennard had good coverage. More than midway through the 3rd quarter. 20-3 Texas. Ordinarily, you'd say a running team, they have to get away from what they're doing at some point because they're far behind. But Texas is such a big play. Nebraska is such a big play running team ordinarily. They can be a little more patient with the run game.
And you know, Sean, I was going to say on the last series that they need to be more patient with their quarterback. He made a couple of bad reads. You heard Bo Pelini at halftime talking to Quinn.
How about Tucker with this rugby kick? The bounce and roll. They almost waited too long to bat it back, but apparently it was kept out of the end zone. Devontae Johnson batted it back.
That's a great play.
And they're going to mark it near the 6-yard line.
That is a great play right there by Devontae Johnson. As he's got, now it's a race right here, and he's got to time that, and he can't touch anything. Ooh, his foot's on the line, Sean. His foot was on the line right there. Right there, and then he touches it. That should be out to the 20-yard line.
67-yard punt. Great effort by Johnson, who was a starting linebacker for a while this year. He's lost his starting linebacker position. And he's out there hustling on special teams. Line of scrimmage, the 6. Tackled by Shockey Brown. And there is a new quarterback in the game for Nebraska. Last year's starter, Zach Lee, has come off the bench to replace Taylor Martinez. He's not as good a runner, although he is a decent runner according to the coaches. They don't feel like they have any parts of their offense they can't run without Martinez in the game. But Lee is the better thrower. Threw for over 2,100 yards last year. Here's Lee on the run. Maybe Taylor wants to come back in, says Zach Lee, as he got hammered after a short gain.
Well, this just goes back to the Texas defense. They said they had to play assignment football. They said they couldn't make any mistakes. And Sean, through these 3 quarters, they have played it perfectly. Everybody has been on who they're supposed to be on, and they took Taylor Martinez completely away from his game. So much so that they have Zach Lee in.
3rd down and 2. Oh, for the last 5 on 3rd down, Nebraska. As you can see, they've had a lot of yardage to cover on 3rd down, an average of 9.5 yards. Much more manageable here. 3rd and 2, and Burkhead squirts ahead for the first down to the 21-yard line. Tackled by Sam Acho.
And now they are being patient with their running game, and they go back to the inside. And it's a nice job on the trap, and Burkhead's able to get back up inside. And Sean, just to clarify that end zone play on the punt, the NCAA rule in the NFL, if any part goes into the end zone, it's a touchback. In the NCAA, as long as the ball does not cross the goal line, he can knock it back even if he does touch part of the end zone.
Acho is injured on the play. That's Emmanuel Acho. And there's a timeout with 4:50 to go in the quarter. Texas medical staff looking at the left knee of Emmanuel Acho. Injured on the last play when he was blocked by Ben Cotton.
You see Cotton come down, and he's going to cut him right there in the hole. Acho's able to get his foot out. So hopefully it's not that bad.
The younger brother of Sam Acho. Zach Lee, play action fake on 1st and 10, and the ball's knocked down.
By his brother, Sam Acho. Well, these Achos are everywhere.
And what a family they are. Their family involved in a ministry led by their parents. Every summer they go over to Nigeria to bring medical supplies to people in need in small villages in Nigeria. And the sons, Sam and Emmanuel, are part of those trips every year. Wonderful family out of Dallas, Texas. On 2nd and 10, Lee's in trouble. Flag down. We would expect a holding call. Lee to the 25-yard line, where he was stopped by Alex Okafor.
Well, and he had to pull that thing down because there is excellent coverage by the secondary. Nowhere to go with the ball. He had to pull it and take off and run. Texas has played on defense about as well as they could have hoped to have played today. They did everything to this point that they set out to do. They wanted to shut down the run game. They knew they thought that they could handle the passing game with their receivers. They've done that. They've tackled extremely well in space.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, hands to the face, number 33 of the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. It is 1st down.
Jordan Hicks, backup linebacker, called for the personal foul. Well, the crowd with a big roar because they thought it was going to be a holding call too based on where it was thrown. But there's Hicks in the middle of your screen with his hands up on the face of the center, Caputo. Monty Johnson came into the ball game for Emmanuel Acho. Rex Burkhead outside. They got about 8. That's reminiscent of the running game Nebraska fans have seen for most of the year. 4 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. 20-3 Texas.
And they're going to pull both guards and get him out in front of Burkhead, and then he just follows their lead. Burkhead's one of those guys, you know, he's got some speed, he's got some good inside runner's instincts, and I know he wants that catch back from the first half.
And Niles Paul would as well, undoubtedly. 2nd and 2. Zach Lee handed it off to Burkhead again. 1st down. He lowered his shoulder and got to the Texas 40. Here's Robert Flores with a quick update from our Times Square studio.
All right, Sean, time for an AT&T All-America Player of the Week update. USC's Matt Barkley going off right now against Cal. 257 yards, 5 touchdowns in the first half. Text VOTE to 345-345 to take part. Sean.
All right, while we're in the update, Nebraska went quickly. Lee threw a long pass to Niles Paul, and the crowd wanted a pass interference penalty against Christian Scott.
Well, Christian Scott bumps him at the end of this route. Niles Paul, just a 9 route down the right sideline.
Well, if you're calling what they called against Nebraska, don't you have to call that? I mean, Scott reached out with his right arm and gave him a shove.
Oh, boy.
There were a lot of people in this part of the world who said when Nebraska announced it was going to the Big Ten, this is going to be their last year in the Big 12. Oh, they won't get a call all year now leaving the conference.
Time out, Nebraska.
I think the officials are men of incredible integrity. I'm not a believer in that conspiracy theory, but I think Bo Pelini and this crowd might be.
He is not thrilled with the pace of his offense.
We're back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Quint Kesenick. Texas leads 20-3. Interesting, Nebraska used a timeout after an incomplete pass. They might want that one later on. They're down to 2 now, trailing by 17 points late in the third quarter. 2nd and 10 for Zach Lee. Quick throw, and he telegraphed that. And Niles Paul got flattened immediately by Aaron Williams.
Well, Aaron Williams read that right away. And in fact, he felt so good about it, they might be flagging him for, I guess, excessive celebration.
After the play, unsportsmanlike, number 4 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's not going to sit well with Mack Brown. Make your play, expect to make the play, get up and make another one. Now he makes a nice play. He felt good about it, but apparently felt too good about it.
And it's all right if you get up and do your little dance, but then he kept doing it. That's a big penalty. The ball at the 28-yard line. Roy Halou straight ahead and tackled by the freshman Jordan Hicks.
Sean, one of the differences now with what Nebraska's doing, remember earlier in the game, remember we showed you where they were letting guys go and that was the mesh point, that was the read they were trying to make. Well, now they've just gone to blocking everybody straight across the board and just getting bodies on bodies and allowing the running backs to do their work.
Manuel provided a little bit of a spark for Nebraska. Now he's throwing, has a man behind the defense, and it's incomplete. Niles Paul with coverage from Adrian Phillips, a true freshman. They're deep into their secondary without Kenny Vaccaro, who was injured earlier.
Well, good protection. He knows where he wants to go with this ball. This is a pretty well thrown ball to the point. Oh, that's good defense. I mean, if you're marking this thing all the way around, Niles Paul is going to want that one back. Good defense. They got the hand in there, but you got to come down with that catch.
Oh, so close to 3 touchdown passes today. 3 balls that were not caught. 4-minute drive. Nebraska in dire need of having it end with points. This one will just depend on the spot, as it always does. Brandon Kinney. They're going to mark it right in the middle of that yellow stripe. It should be a first down. Shockey Brown and Jordan Hicks made the tackle.
And Brandon Kinney comes up a little hobbling a little bit.
Bo's down there to look at it. The interesting call if they don't get it, because it's a 3-score game right now. A field goal would make it a 2-score game. However, comma.
Is that an Oxford comma?
I think it's a first down anyway, because the yellow line is almost always. And I don't want to jinx it. We're right on the money. And now Sean Watson with a play call here on 1st and 10. He's a holdover from the Bill Callahan staff, and he deserves a lot of credit. They were a West Coast offense team. They've kept some of the West Coast passing principles. while going to an Oregon-style running attack. They borrowed a lot of ideas from a lot of different programs to come up with this running game. Lee couldn't break a tackle at the line of scrimmage. Excellent play by Dustin Ernest, the linebacker, senior out of Texarkana, Texas.
And if he doesn't make that tackle right there, Sean, Zach Lee's got a lot of running room. This was the right read. Zach Lee makes the proper read right away. Inside, he pulls it back out, and then Ernest is able to slip off the block and make the tackle.
It's been a quick strike Nebraska offense this year. 17 scoring drives this year of 5 plays or more. This is the 14th play of this drive. It's taken nearly 5 minutes. Lee forced to pull it down. He's captured at the 11-yard line by Jared Norton, another linebacker who's a reserve, and Hicks, another backup linebacker.
The red zone is a tough place to score. You can see what they've done here. Texas 4 times down inside Nebraska. This is their first time, but the reason it's a tough place to score, all the angles change in the passing game. Obviously, it's a shortened field, and so the drops are a lot shorter. Your throws are a lot tougher. You have to throw into small windows down here.
Huge 3rd down and 4. Play clock running out. Texas rushed 5. Lee, the dump off, and it's incomplete. Hall again was breaking open, but the ball a little bit too far ahead of him. And now Bo Pelini needs a score. He's going to send the field goal unit on.
Well, Jordan Hicks has a tremendous effort because he comes on a blitz, gets cut in the hole, does a somersault, and still gets the pressure and forces the tough throw.
Here's Alex Henry. He's provided them with their only points today. His field goal earlier in the ball game was his 13th in a row. They had to have that, and they get it. 28-yarder to make it a 2-score game with less than a half minute to go in the 3rd quarter. But they used a lot of time, and you can see the coaches over there saying we really need to speed it up on offense.
Exactly. He was disappointed at that timeout the last time about how poorly they were running their pace. He wants a quicker pace.
So the move to Zach Lee paid off on that drive. Nebraska got points and moved the ball effectively for one of the few times today. For an exclusive look at the first BCS poll, don't miss the BCS Countdown show tomorrow night on ESPN. Our experts will provide in-depth analysis of the season's first BCS poll and a look ahead to Week 8. It's the BCS Countdown show presented by Tostitos tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Of course, Brad Edwards and our great research department put together projected BCS standings coming into this week's action. And brought to you by Allstate, the projections had Boise State atop the BCS standing, with Oregon, TCU, and Nebraska 7th. You know, in the 2 human polls, Nebraska's 4th and 5th. As they're going to slide down every poll if they don't turn this one around. DJ Monroe brings the kickoff back for Texas. And it's well covered by Justin Blatchford. Line of scrimmage will be the 16. The crowd roars for the defense, and we take a look at today's Chick-fil-A drive recap. Just engineered by Zach Lee off the bench. Could have been better, could have been 7. And it's been a day of agony in the passing game for Nebraska. Balls through hands and off fingertips. And they settled for a field goal after nearly a 6-minute drive. 5:47 officially to cover 83 yards.
And here comes the big red crowd.
Ray Newton trying to quiet them. Tough run. He got 5, and that'll be the last play of the quarter. Pierre Allen and Dejon Gomes made the tackle. Once again, Nebraska frustrated by the Texas Longhorns, who've won 5 straight and 8 out of 9 in this rivalry. And they lead 20-6 as we go to the 4th quarter in Lincoln. We're back in Lincoln and heading to the 4th quarter, and Mack Brown's Longhorns throughout his 13 years have been great closers when they've had the lead after 3. 117-5 is the Texas record, and they take a 2-touchdown lead with the final 15 minutes of regulation play. 2nd and 5 for Garrett Gilbert and the Horns from their own 21. Trey Newton got a couple, and here comes a big 3rd down and 3. They're all going to be big here in the 4th quarter. A look at our Pacific Life game summary. Garrett Gilbert has not had a great day throwing, but he's been effective running the football, and Taylor Martinez had a dreadful day, hurt by the 6 drop passes, several of which could have been touchdowns. They've got the big back Cody Johnson in there in the short yardage situation. James Kirkendall, the motion man. And they pound away with Johnson, and he is stuffed to the line of scrimmage. P.J. Smith again up from his safety spot.
Well,
Jared Crick helped finish him off.
Yeah, when you hear that a safety's in the backfield, Sean, that means they're rolling the dice. Carl Pelini did roll the dice. He had his safety down fast. A calculated risk that pays off and stops him on the 4th down. And we showed
the Nebraska defense have been criticized for giving up 147 yards per game rushing coming in. Bo Pelini said, when we have to stop the run, we will. We have been geared so far this year to play pass defense first, and they've been #1 in the country in pass defense. Texas has failed to convert on its last 4 3rd downs. Low line drive punt. Niles Paul hit immediately at the 41-yard line. Carrington Bindum with excellent coverage.
that is a good play by Niles Paul. There are 3 rules of the kicking game, Sean. You can't be offsides, you can't rough the kicker, and you cannot let the ball hit the ground. He does a good job of coming up and getting their good field position and not letting the thing roll like it had been doing.
Zach Lee back out for his 2nd possession. Nebraska's numbers way off where they have been so far this season. And they knew coming in this was the best defense that they have played so far this year. 13.5 minutes to go. Lee takes the check down over the middle. Rex Burkhead for a gain of about 7. Emmanuel Acho the tackle. And let's see if they do move more quickly, as the coaches were indicating at the end of their last drive.
Well, they choose to huddle here. They're still going to be patient, but what's impressive to me right now is they've changed. Now they've gone to more of their passing offense, and this offensive line is doing its job.
Lee.
Good read.
Good read there. Kept it. It's pulled down, but it's a 1st down. Jordan Hicks got him on the ground at the 46 of Texas. But it's a 1st down.
This is what you watched in the 1st half, where they were tackling them in the backfield. You leave Acho go right here. It's incumbent upon the quarterback to make the right read. That was the proper read, and he picks up the 1st.
Lee, part of a 3-way battle that went all through fall camp to be the starting quarterback. He was the incumbent. Cody Green also in the mix. And it was a tough call for the coaches. Burkhead run out of bounds at the 40, but a gain of 6 more. And the coaches have been praising Zach Lee, even though he's a senior, lost his starting job in a tough battle in the preseason. He has had a great attitude, been actively engaged. The injured player on the field is Curtis Brown. We had a lot of defensive backs go down today for Texas.
And you're hearing some boos out of the crowd because they think that Curtis Brown is trying to slow down the pace. Nebraska tried to get to the line of scrimmage. Sean Watson wanting to pick that pace up after Bo Pelini's telling them. And I hear a couple of boos out in the crowd, but he's hurt. What's impressed to me right here is the 2 guards for Nebraska. Both of them, Ricky Henry 74, 68 Keith Williams. They're pulling them and they're getting them out on the edge. And if you want to know why Brown's down, it's because right there, Williams buried him.
And it looked like Brown helped bury himself by diving toward the legs of Williams, and then when Williams landed on top of him, Brown's head went hard into the field turf. 2nd and 4. Nebraska trying to make a game of it, down by 2 touchdowns. Lee again very near a 1st down, spun down at the 37-yard line by Emmanuel Acho. Made a nice return to the game after injuring his left knee.
So Sean Watson is saying, listen, we're going to give up the potential big play for today at least the proper reads. So Zach Lee, you go in. We think you have a better throwing arm, but we believe you're going to make better decisions, and that's what's happened. Oh, he fumbled it.
He fumbled the snap. And even if they got it back, that's costly. They did, but they've lost yardage now, lost about a half yard, and they're going to make it a longer 4th down conversion.
The way defense has been playing, Sean, you got to go for it here.
And they will, no hesitation. Burkhead came running in from the sideline with a play call for Zach Lee. He's the son of an NFL quarterback, Bob Lee. Line him up with a pistol look. Low snap. Burkhead appeared to get it.
First down.
Looked like it was close as to where his knee was down, and that line judge is coming in much closer to that yellow line than where the ball ended up, but it is going to be a first down. Blake Gideon the tackle. And the officials do say first down without calling out the chains.
Again, it's one of those plays where Cotton, the tight end, is coming back on a trap, and they're going to run right back inside. Burkhead picks it up.
11 minutes to go. 2 timeouts for Nebraska, 3 for Texas. Zach Lee, well protected, dumps it off again, and a good tackle in space by Aaron Williams on Niles Paul.
They like that crossing route all game long. They've hit it a couple times they've missed it, but they're going 3 receivers to one side and then bringing them all the way across. Now that requires time for the quarterback, so you have to be able to protect it, and then you can use your speed 2 ways, one going deep, one running across the field.
2nd and 5. And Lee kept it. 1-yard gain, made the right decision because Burkhead was smothered behind the line. Adrian Phillips, true freshman, seeing a lot of action here in the second half out of Garland, Texas, involved in the play.
One of the ways you have to defend this option, you have, again, the assignment inside. You have to have somebody who's going to take the mesh point, and then they have 2 other defenders, one on the outside and one on the inside. And then once that is defined, you collapse it, which is exactly what they did this last play.
Probably in 4-down territory here with under 10 minutes to go. At the 30, 3rd down and 4. Zach Lee got hit as he throws, but dumped it off. Niles Paul is a first down, and he took a late hit out of bounds. After he crossed the boundary at the 16-yard line, the freshman Phillips hit him late.
There's one in the middle of the field and 2 on the sideline, Sean. One comes out of from the umpire, the back judge.
Well, that looked like holding as Sam Acho was trying to rush the passer. He got collared to the ground, and that's clearly a late hit out of bounds.
That might be a pick. That's a nice tackle by that cheerleader. She should put her face right in there. Bam.
4 officials involved in the conversation. They tell Zach Lee to get away. The crowd doesn't like it.
Well, lost in all that, Zach Lee held on to it to the last second and made an accurate throw.
Number 25 of the offense.
Yeah.
15-yard penalty.
That's a pick.
After the play, personal foul, number 3 of the defense. That penalty can be enforced 15 yards. It is first down.
It's Kyler Reed, number 25. You'll watch him. See right there, that's a pick. That's a pick, and it's a good call by the officials. And then as Niles Paul goes down, he's going to go out of bounds, and then there's the hit.
Yeah, they called it a number 3, but it wasn't number 3. It was Adrian Phillips, number 17. Kyler Reed can stretch the field. He's got great speed at tight end, just 230 pounds. He had a 79-yard touchdown against Kansas State, and there he's demonstrating what he did. Costly penalty. But the good news for Nebraska, they convert on that 3rd down, even though both sides were penalized. The 3rd and 4 becomes 1st and 10. New set of downs from the 30-yard line. Boy, another low snap. Lee did well to field it, and he got 4. Pulled down by Tyrell Higgins, number 93, another backup on the field for this Texas defense. And now they're going to go quickly to the line of scrimmage. 9 minutes to go.
Clock is working against them.
Whoa, Burkhead lost the exchange and got it back for a loss of 1.5 yards.
That's called the mesh point. And there's the read. There's a read involved, and so you're going to say, okay, if he stays, if 81 Acho stays on me, I'm handing it to the back. See his eyes? He's looking right at Acho. That's a great shot. See right there? He's looking at Acho right here. Okay. Now Acho's going to stay. I'm letting it go. The mesh in between the running back and the quarterback wasn't there. Ball on the ground.
5th fumble for Nebraska. They've lost only 1. 3rd down and 8. Lee pressured, steps up, run down from behind at the 28-yard line by Eddie Jones, the talented senior defensive end out of Kilgore, Texas.
Which forces a big decision, which isn't really much of a decision. No. You have to go for it here. At the 8-minute mark, you're under 8 minutes. You're going to put it on probably on the arm of Zach Lee. Now, this is going to go over to 2 things. It's going to be protection or pass rush, and then coverage down the field.
And how will Will Muschamp play it? Will they come after Zach Lee or play pass defense? 3 wide receivers.
Rush 4.
Lee given time as a flag down. The throw is short of the first down. They pick it up, which could be huge. It's going to be huge either way, but particularly if it is a penalty against Nebraska, it'll force Texas to take it as Roy Halou went out of bounds near the 15-yard line with 1st down yardage.
Holding number 71 in the offense. 10-yard penalty, 4th down.
Jeremiah Searles, the freshman left tackle. They lost their starting left tackle the last 2 years, Mike Smith, to a season-ending leg injury before the year started, and that's a big loss.
Yeah, watch Searles. He's working. Oh, yeah, he just pulled him right. He tried to pull him down and couldn't, but he did enough to be able to change the course of where Acho was going, and they flagged him. Boy, that Acho, he's a heck of a player. He plays inside, he plays outside, plays well with his hands, can give you speed if he has to.
Now 4th and 18 for Nebraska, the 38-yard line. 4-man rush, plenty of time for Lee. Down the middle and dropped again by Brandon Kinney. With Chucky Brown in coverage.
They have dropped balls all over the place. Could not be better. They were able to get Blake Gideon out of the middle by running another receiver underneath him. You see him bite underneath. That allows Kinney to come free, and the field is there for him to get to it. The ball's right where it has to be, and they're just going to be sick watching that thing.
Well, one of the questions here in Lincoln has been, would Taylor Martinez be good enough in the passing game if they needed to pass? The quarterback's been all right today. It's the receivers who haven't been good enough. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Quint Kesnick back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Crowd silenced by yet another drop by a Nebraska receiver on a play that would have been a touchdown. That's been the big story of the day for the Nebraska offense. Texas with a 2-touchdown lead, 7 minutes to go. Garrett Gilbert handed it off. Trey Newton straight ahead with a flag down. He got 4 to the 42 before he was driven back by Jared Crick.
That's going to go against the defense. They jumped. Nebraska, they're going to be sick because they're playing a good Texas team.
Defense number 94. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
But Sean, they've beaten themselves. They have not given themselves a chance to get this game won.
Largely because of drop balls. We take a look at our good hands play, not appropriately named today. Brought to you by Allstate. Lack of good hands here prevented it from being a 1-touchdown game with 7 minutes to go. Brandon Kinney has been their leading receiver this year.
Yeah, watch him on the outside, and right here, Blake Gideon starts to bite, and that's the read for the quarterback. As soon as he vacates the area, the throw is there. Perfectly thrown ball, dropped, not a good hands play.
Trey Newton driven back on 1st and 5, got a couple to the 45-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3. And Bo Pelini, when we talked to him yesterday, they're riding high, 5-0. Everybody around here fired up, talking about finally beating Texas. talking about Big 12 championships, possibility being a national championship contender with a pretty favorable schedule the rest of the way. They both said we've been sloppy. We've made too many mistakes, and it concerns me, even though we are 5-0. Cody Johnson breaking tackles, and he rumbles down to the 38-yard line of Nebraska. Prince Amukamara and Levante David made the tackle, but it's 16 yards, and they're getting very close to field goal range, and a field goal would just about be game over here in Lincoln.
So what Texas has done here to trying to close this thing out, they've put big bodies in there, and they're just pounding on the smaller Nebraska defense. Keep in mind, the 4 down guys have some size, but the next level, they're tiny. And they're getting bodies on the defensive linemen and pounding into that second level.
Johnson again. He got 3. We head to New York for Robert Flores in the Sports Center right now, presented by Sprint.
All right, Sean, coming up next on ABC, it's the 5th race in NASCAR's 10-race playoff. It continues in Charlotte, Bank of America 500. Jeff Gordon is your pole sitter. Meantime, Game 2, ALCS, Rangers leading the Yankees 7-2, top 6, a game that can be heard on ESPN Radio. Game 3 in New York City. Sean.
Yes, and the Rangers will look forward to Cliff Lee pitching in that Game 3. Garrett Gilbert letting the play clock run down to 3 before he handed off to Cody Johnson, who got 2 more. Bear in mind, Nebraska used kind of a bizarre timeout on offense after an incomplete pass, so they have only 2 left. Cameron Meredith made the tackle. The long field goal for Justin Tucker is 51 yards. And from here, this would be just about that, 51, 52-yarder.
And I'm sure that Texas will still keep it on the ground here and try to pound this and ride that offensive line, particularly those inside 3. They've played pretty darn well here today.
3rd down and 5. Handed off to Marquise Goodwin, and he went out of bounds.
Stop the clock.
Yeah, that wasn't a great idea. Went out of bounds at the 33-yard line, forced out by Alfonso Dennard. He did not get the first down, about 4 yards short. And now Mac Brown has a decision to make. The field goal kicker Justin Tucker's been terrific. And it looks like they're going to bring him out on 4th and 4. Speaking of Mac Brown, our condolences go out to his family. He's had a tough week. He lost his brother-in-law, David Larson, on Thursday after a lengthy illness. That's his wife Sally's brother. Sally's not here today. It's the first time since they were married in 1993 that Sally Brown has not been in attendance at one of Mac's games. Today's also Sally Brown's birthday, so I know it's difficult for her to celebrate her birthday. And our deepest sympathies go out to Mac and Sally. Wonderful people. Timeout. In Nebraska. We remind you the college football continues tonight on ESPN. Number 1 Ohio State in Madison, a very tough road venue to take on the 18th ranked Wisconsin Badgers. College football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Now a huge field goal attempt of 50 yards where Justin Tucker's 2 for 2 with 2 short ones today. And he's going to pooch it. Interesting. He made a 51-yarder against Rice. They had a man back there ready for it. Eric Haig for Nebraska has some running room. They have 1 man to block, and he is gone. Unbelievable play. Touchdown, Nebraska. Back in it with 3:02 to go.
He didn't trust the long field goal that it could be blocked. So he went the safe route and he pooch punched. Unfortunately, Haig had different ideas. He picks it up and then he's off to the races. And what a great job of transition for this Nebraska Cornhusker team to get in downfield and block.
Now a huge extra point. And you knew Henry was going to make it. He's made 91 in a row now. Well, give the Nebraska coaches credit. They were ready for that. They knew the pooch was a possibility. They had Haig back there. And an electrifying 95-yard return by Eric Haig, ordinarily a linebacker and safety, a hybrid player, senior from Peoria, Arizona. Brought this crowd back to life and made it a game with 3 minutes to go. This crowd was totally out of it. They're back into it now after the longest punt return in Nebraska history. 95 yards by Eric Haig. And that would make sense. Ordinarily, you don't field punts at your own 5-yard line, but he picked up the pooch kick on the bounce. Weaved his way across the field and through some traffic. And has Bo Pelini's team right back in the game. 3:02 to go. Again, they only have 2 timeouts. And now Texas calls a timeout.
Texas, they're second in the half.
Leaving them with 1. They waited for Nebraska to line up, trying to tell if they were going to line up for an onside kick or not. It did not look like an onside kick formation, so Mack Brown called the timeout.
Let's go back to that punt return, Sean, to see exactly how Haig was able to do it. He got by with a little help from his friends. You're going to watch right here. He makes the decision, cuts across the field. Crick is the first one who gives him a little bit of help right there, okay?
Close.
That's one. Yes. But Levante David, watch number 4 right up here. He's leading the charge, and this is a great lesson. Great hustle, stays with it, and then everybody else is down there. And, you know, that's one of the great things in football, and it's a life lesson. It takes no talent to hustle. That group right there just hustled and put themselves right back into this game.
Eric Haig's a terrific player as a defender. And now they're lining up with a different look as if they might onside kick. Wouldn't you think with 3:02 to go and 2 timeouts, kick it deep? They're not going to. They're going to onside kick it, and Texas is right there. I just don't understand that. There's plenty of time left, and of course it looked like to me like they wasted a timeout earlier on offense after an incomplete pass. But with this much time, the way your defense has been controlling the play here in the second half.
And that's what he's going to count on right now again, Sean. He's going to count on this defense to stop them right here to get this ball back again.
And now they're very close to field goal range, though, that would win the game for them. And if you get the ball back, you're going to have a much longer field to take it than you would if you'd kicked it deep and stopped them. From the 42-yard line.
Safety drop down.
Cody Johnson to the 40. Timeout, Nebraska. 2:54 to go. Millions of people watch the family go from ordinary to extraordinary. The adventure's just beginning. An all-new episode of the Superpowered series. No Ordinary Family, Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Well, now they're going to roll the dice, and they're going man outside. They're dropping the safety down. They're betting that it's a run the whole way.
2nd and 8, Texas from the Nebraska 40. They're leading by 7. Big run for Johnson. First down inside the 30. And they are struggling to get the 250-pounder down. They finally do at the 16-yard line. First down.
And did you watch, Sean, how Cody Johnson at the end of that play, instead of going out of bounds, fights to get back inbounds? That's a great job. They get everybody going one way, use speed against them, and now it's power. He protects the football. Watch the end of this run. He's not going to go out. He forces himself back inside. Gomes makes the tackle, and that effectively should be the game.
24-yard run is longest of the season. Nebraska does not use its final timeout. 1st and 10. 16-yard line. They continue to pound away with Johnson. Ricky Tenarce and DeJon Gomes made the tackle. And still they hang on to that timeout. And Johnson's going to limp off. That's a tough break for Texas, because this is the time you'd want him into the ballgame to pound away.
It's good. They're using this big offensive line, and the offensive line is doing a good job of staying on people. and they're doing misdirection. Start one way, get the defense to use its speed and start in a direction, and then bring the running back the other way.
On 2nd and 5, Trey Newton spun around, gets free, and almost got the first down. Looked like he went down a yard shy of it. They're going to give him a pretty good spot, most of that roll. And he's about a half yard shy. Still no timeout from Nebraska. And now they use it after a few seconds had run off. So they're out of timeouts. And they're in a must-stop situation here on 3rd down and short. And if this one goes in the lost ball for Nebraska, these are the plays they'll remember. Rex Burkhead drop it would have been a touchdown. Miles ball will go through his hands. Be able to catch that one, stay on his feet. It was 6. That was a tougher play. Could have been a touchdown for Paul. That one would have been a touchdown for Brandon Kinney here in the 4th quarter.
That's 4 dropped scores. You can't do, I mean, obviously, that's how you beat yourself. It's just like our graphic said, it's a miscue, but it can't happen. And when you are considering yourself to be a national championship caliber team, those are the plays that keep you out of it.
And those first BCS standings will come out tomorrow, and there's a lot of these undefeated and one-loss teams around the country right now who are going to be happy if Texas can pull it off, because it'll hand Nebraska its first loss of the season and certainly diminish their hopes of playing in the national championship game. Not fully extinguish them. There's a lot of football left to go, but going to make it a heck of a lot tougher.
Sean, lost in all this stuff, though, is Will Muschamp's defense and their front 7 and how they took Taylor Martinez completely out of the game. He was a non-factor.
They're taking a look at the spot, and it did look, that ball's way short of where they marked it. When they marked it live almost to the yellow line, you wondered how they could. I mean, they gave him the whole roll. That ball should be back almost 2 yards.
Ruling on the field is confirmed.
Huh? Did I miss something?
So did they. It's where the ball is when his knee hits, and it's not there. Watch right there. Okay. Hand down. Knee down. That's about a good yard away.
Yeah, shy of the 7-yard line. But it's interesting, they put the ball back closer to the 7-yard line after initially putting it almost on the yellow line inside the 6. It's inside the 7. Where they actually moved it back a length of a football or 2.
Now there's a flag.
Illegal substitution penalty against Nebraska.
Illegal substitution on the defense. There are 12 men. Penalty to be half the distance. First down.
And there are still 12 men, so Bo Pelini can argue all he wants, but the official saying, hey, coach, count them.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now that's not the 12th.
I think both thought when they had a man run off there that got them to 11, but they would have been playing the Tennessee Vol 13-man defense that they used at the end of the LSU game. So that's the ball game. Now all they have to do is take a knee. And you talk about mistakes killing Nebraska today. Perhaps that's a fitting conclusion. All Gilbert has to do is hang on to the snap now.
But some big news for Texas. Garrett Gilbert, we said on the front end, it was going to be on his shoulders. And Sean, he came through. And he came through with his feet, what they've been emphasizing all week long. That was the first part. And then Mac Brown talked about his defense and having to shut down the option part of Taylor Martinez, and they did that as good as it could be done. So much, in fact, that they replaced him with Zach Lee.
Macho brothers from a very religious family joining some of their teammates for a prayer of thanks on the sideline. It is a Texas team that deserves a lot of credit. Showed great character to come in here, reeling off 2 losses. Disappointing 3-2 start after they were a preseason top 5 team. They come to Lincoln and win again.
Sean, Texas is not going to lose the rest of the year. You watch.
Which would need another 10-win season for Texas. That was one of the things that was looking iffy. They've won 10 games or more in 9 straight years, the second longest such streak in college football history, behind Florida State's 14 years in a row of 10 wins. And that's important to the Texas folks. They come up here and get a great win. Mack Brown now 8-1 against Nebraska. By far the winningest coach against the Cornhuskers of anybody who's faced him at least 5 times. And Quint's with the winning coach.
Coach, coming off back-to-back losses, how do you best describe this effort today?
Well, just why you coach. That's why you love your kids. A lot of people get down on them quickly, and it's a great lesson for kids because they can't get down.
Why was your run defense so effective?
Oh, Will came from the south, and they work on that option all the time down there, so we usually play pretty good against the option. Taylor Martinez is a great player. I thought the defensive game plan was fabulous.
Coach, congratulations. You said your last trip to Lincoln would be special. It was.
Well, thank you, Quint. This is a great place, and I again hate that Texas and Nebraska won't be playing in the future because of games like this.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, it's still possible they could play in a Big 12 title game.
Yes.
They both will have work to do to make that a reality. 20-13 the final. For Matt Millen, Quint Kessenich, and our entire crew, Sean McDonough saying so long from Lincoln. Now let's get you back to the studio.